Shenmue.
Welcome, Magnus here, and what will happen with Shenmue 4? Is there anything new with Shenmue 4? Where is it? What's going on? Let me tell you what is going on from what I know. So if you're new to my channel, I talk about games, nostalgic games coming back to life with a particular interest in Shenmue and the series. Now today we're talking about Shenmue 4. What I know about Shenmue 4 is basically nothing. So what does that help? Why'd you click on my video, right? Well, no, let me give you a little bit of background. If you don't know what Shenmue is a game released originally on the Dreamcast back in 1999 and 2000 in Japan and the US, and has been a series that had a long hiatus between the early 2000s and last year when we got the third installment in the series. Now there's a lot to be explained as to why that happened and that it took as long as it did, but to get Shenmue 3 created, fans had to all come together and pretty much break Kickstarter records in order to fund the latest entry into the series. Shenmue 3 was successfully released in November of 2019, much to the delight of a lot of old school fans and even some new ones that were created when Shenmue 1 and 2 were re-released on the Xbox and the PlayStation systems and PC as well. So when it was released, it had kind of mixed reactions, a lot of nostalgic feels. It definitely felt like it was part of the franchise and you were continuing the story. It had a few updates and changes, but the core gameplay seemed to take a hit, and one would think that that probably happened because of the limited budget that they had and the quick release schedule that they had to release the console in. Entries in franchises usually take a number of years before they're actually released, and Shenmue was not only funded but put together in such a short amount of time. So to get what we got on a basically from scratch, which is what they had to work with, except they had the Unreal Engine to work with, but they had to work from scratch from the get-go when it came to new ideas and working with that engine to throw Shenmue into it. So to get what we got was basically a gift unto itself. But then what happens next? There's a couple of questions that we've got to ask before we can expect the next entry. Now, first of all, one of the things that were taken into consideration with getting the funding for this release was that Sony provided some funding so that it could be exclusively released onto the PlayStation 4. Now, it was released on PC as well, and Epic had their own store that they released the game on, so that it was basically an exclusive, so you couldn't get it on Steam and you couldn't get it on Xbox. But what's going to happen next generation? Will Microsoft want a hand in the Shenmue series? Probably not. Would Steam even care? Probably not. Why? Because it wasn't a huge success, which is what we all hope it would have been, but it wasn't that huge success. It sold enough. But did it sell enough to warrant another entry? Did it sell enough to basically say, hey, you know what, let's self-fund this? And that's the question. Now, from articles that I looked up in the past and in past streams, I saw that they sold enough to be one of the most successful games for the studio that helped develop it, which is good. If Epic was going to support it, they had a hand in it, and they did support it, and they were able to recoup some funds and actually be one of their best-selling games. But if you look up Shenmue sales for Shenmue 3, all articles just basically trashed it. It's like almost like everyone was waiting for Shenmue to be a sales disaster and wanted to write about that. However, if you look deeper into it, the game didn't sell badly at all. It didn't sell, it did meet expectations, but it didn't sell badly. So does that warrant another entry into the series? Now, according to articles, Yu Suzuki has also stated that he definitely will do everything he can to have the fourth created. Now, what will it take? What will it take to make that possible? A couple of ideas that I have in my head when it comes to making that possible is you're going to have to be console exclusive and kind of almost sell yourself to bring a whole community of fans to buy your console. Does Sony need that? Probably not. There's a lot of excitement already into the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox. So to kind of be console exclusive to one of them is difficult, but if anyone, I'd say it would probably be Sony because it could have the largest audience. And because Shenmue 3 was an Sony exclusive anyway, they could probably continue that with Shenmue 4. But you won't get much money from Sony after the original sales performance of Shenmue 3, in my opinion. I believe also that in order to make Shenmue 4 a bigger deal, you're going to have to appeal to a broader audience, which means better dynamic broad advertising and probably make the game feel more modern than it did in the previous Shenmue 3. Shenmue 3 was great, but it didn't seem like it picked up enough from current games to actually learn from what they could have done with previous games and then take it a step further. Don't get me wrong, I love the gameplay in Shenmue 3. I actually really enjoyed Shenmue 3. But I'm more concerned with appealing to a mass audience for a successful franchise. Now, Shenmue 3 and Shenmue franchise in itself in particular has the ability to become first party status. And just because you're not the first entry in the game doesn't mean that you can't pick up and become hugely successful. You can be a later entry into the series and be successful. All you really need is to make it easy to pick up and play, easy to understand from the get-go, and you really need a really good broad appeal to just appeal to the masses. And games that have like these heroic characters going through difficult action sequences and being really cinematic, if you adapt that style into Shenmue, you have the potential of earning millions of dollars with the right advertising as well. But what you need, of course, is money to support that. And that's why it has to be pitched to Sega, right? To continue with the license, which I think Sega is pretty open when it comes to letting Yu Suzuki have the reins. Have him still be on board, but continue to broaden his development team and sell to publishers that are willing to invest in a big AAA franchise. And use the information that you've earned not only from the Shenmue series, but use information from action series in general to pitch the idea that you can actually take Shenmue to the next level. And no matter what previous success or non-success you've had with the franchise in the past, you can actually make an incredible franchise with Shenmue and have it could make money. You just need to invest money in it in the right way that appeals to mass audiences. And I think that if they're able to do that and then get the funding, which has been Yu Suzuki's hardest challenge amongst everything else, is really just getting funding. You'll get to part 4 and hopefully part 5, but then they'll probably want to continue it further on, especially if it becomes another franchise that becomes sequel bait, and then just people would want you to do a 7, 8, 9, and then I think that would make all of us happy because we enjoy this franchise so much that why not? We'll take it. If any other franchise deserve it, it's definitely the Shenmue franchise that deserves that type of recognition, especially after so long and so much has been sacrificed. From Sega's millions of dollars that they sacrificed, from the Kickstarter fans' millions of dollars that we put into the franchise. If there are little companies and fans that are both willing to invest this much in a franchise, then someone else on the outside that's not familiar has to look at it and be like, why have people cared so much? Maybe we should too, and get a lot more people to care about it than just them, because we've already invested millions. Let's see what else we can get with the franchise going forward. But anyway, that's what I think it would take to actually sell you on Shenmue 4 and going forward. Again, I haven't heard anything on Shenmue 4 development besides the fact that Yu Suzuki definitely wants to make it happen. We'll see, right? Especially in the near future. I'm going to keep you updated if I hear anything. But what do you guys think? Have you heard anything that I haven't mentioned in this video? Definitely leave a comment with whatever you've heard, because I'm just eager to pick up anything on the franchise. And as always, you can make my day if you subscribe today. This is Magnus, and I'm out. See you guys later.